Hey Gaurav.
Hey,
So I think it's a good series which we were planning to start. So I think the first topic should be how we have accomplished and built so many products, and what's our tagline is building a SaaS product in 90 days. So I think let's start with that.
yep.
Okay. So to the audience, I think we would be conducting a series of sessions or discussions where we'll be talking around the tools and fro's of building products, how to launch your product, and check product market fit on how to take ahead. So our first episode should be how to build a SaaS product in 90 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get started. So I think Gaurav, what do you think the first step should be?
First is idea,
Yeah.
right? So first we need to see the idea, research it a little bit, validate a little bit.
Mhm.
But people spend a lot of time trying to validate the idea and trying to find it out. Is it required in the market or not? The best way, I think, the best source where like you can see a lot about how do we create a startup is YC, right? The YouTube channel. So I've seen one video there which talked about that, the best way to validate is by putting the product in the hand of the customers. Okay. So if you spend a lot of time over there, it's not required. So you should focus on creating a very minimal product, which is having very minimal features, but those features should be the ones that are actually making the difference and actually help people.
That's absolutely the
Yeah.
point which we should look at. But what do you think? Someone has an idea, someone doesn't have an idea, someone just have a thing which they need to build. So how do you think, or what do you think are the great source where someone can validate? Okay, this is the idea which I want to build. So what
So
should
first of all, I think the idea should be the one that problem that you are facing yourself.
Correct.
So if you go ahead and actually try to solve someone else's problem, you will not be able to solve, and that's one mistake that we have done as well.
Yeah.
So we tried out doing some things that are aligned to us, but we saw someone else is facing problem, but then you are not able to solve it in the best way possible.
Correct. Yeah. So in our history, if you say, what is the revolutionary idea? What do you think? So if I would say, just pick up an idea, and we have built, I think, many products so far, right? We have in-house 4 products, and we are helping our team build out their products. So what do you think? One idea, if we can take an example, and do you think how we ideated on it, how we did the market research on it, so that it will give everyone a brief idea in real time if they see our product. Okay, this was the ideation behind it. Okay, these are the tools where I can also do the market research for my product. And how do you think is the estimated duration for any of the product if we talk about?
So, answering the first question, one thing that we have turned around really well. So, we've done multiple things that we are proud of, and our team has also helped us a lot about those things. One thing is Sparrow. Okay. So, because both of us come from developer background, right? Last 10, 12 years, we've been doing that thing. And we've been using different REST API tools as well while doing the development ourselves. Correct. So, the problem was there itself. It was just in front of us that there was no tool that could actually help us in the right way possible.
Correct.
There was amazing tools. There were amazing tools created in India itself that I'm really happy that it came from India and that became $1 billion products. But on the other hand, the challenge is it didn't solve. It was solving before, but then it stopped solving it. Then for us, it was just about solving the problem. It was not about identifying the monetary benefit right away. Obviously, we saw that there's a $1 billion company that helps a lot, but we knew that if we are able to solve it in the better way possible, it actually helps. So that's like the one thing that this one thing that we did is like trying to create a REST API tool that is an open source, that is secure, that's self-hosted. It solves the problem related to security part. It solves the problem related to the ownership of data, and it helps people get started without any boundaries that hey, you have to pay after this many APIs or something. So that's one thing. That's one approach that we did. And secondly, related to the turnaround time, I think 4 to 6 months is a very sweet bracket when you can actually create and launch a very good MVP. Launching an MVP can be a little quicker as well, but if you want an external customer to look into it, being a developer company, we were able to try out and pilot it inside the organization itself. But if you want to pilot it outside, I would say like 4 to 6 months is the time frame you're looking at where you can have a version. And if it's taking more than 6 months, it's not worth it. You need to at least ensure that whatever you're creating is in a way that in 6 months you should be able to launch it.
Correct.
And it's very important to remove clutter here. there is a lot of ideas that comes in that, hey, we should implement that only and improve that also. But yeah, it's bare minimum functional product that people want and get it to the market so that you can get the first feedback and start improving.
Definitely. So if I summarize, and we are talking about Sparrow here, right? So we found out the problem, right? So it's about discussing a problem around chai break or a cigarette break, and rather than solving it, gives us a more edge if we are facing that problem. Definitely. So being a developer, we analyzed in our journey that okay, this is the problem, and I think we can pick it up because this is something which we need to solve, and that can make people life better. So that's very that's I think that's the point which everyone needs to take into account while we are building on that idea. And the first and foremost thing is to define the timelines. That's 4 to 6 weeks is a very sweet spot, and you should avoid feature bloat. Yeah. What is the minimum required to give to your customer or to give your end users? I think that should be the first way we should be trying.
And follow the Moscow.
Follow the Moscow. Yeah. So I think that's one thing which we have done best in Sparrow is following the must-have rather than good-to-have features. So what are the minimum required product to launch its MVP or an initial version where your customer can track their end-to-end journey and can see, relate the problem what we are solving. I think that should, if I say that's the whole goal of launching. Nice. So if I tell about MVP scope, right? So probably I can list down some point how we have crafted out MVP for Sparrow or how we have listed down. And feel free to correct me if how we are discussing or any points you need to add. So if we talk about MVP, right? So it's a minimum viable product. So by that, what we understood was we need to build a product version which can be available for the people 0 to 100. It may not have all the features, all the turnarounds, but it should be usable from end to end side.
Yeah. So even in that, it becomes before you know it, people start with minimal part, but they add so many different things. Okay, it should solve one problem at a time, and we can take assumptions during minimum viable product time. So it should not be that you need to cover a whole aspect of the problem. Just solve one problem at a time. Let's say if we talk about a REST API tool, let's not even have an option to save the API.
Correct.
Let's not have an option to collaborate or something else. It should be as simple as you have a button to click send button and you should get a response back, and that should be done in the perfect way possible. So identifying that thing it looks easy on paper, but when you start doing it and nobody is able to hold their horses, right? Even we think that these are the things that we want more in the product, and it results into delays and it results into missteps. We started working on a feature named Active Sync, right? When we wanted to connect with GitHub repositories directly in the Sparrow application itself. It is something that I still feel might add value, but on the other hand, we wasted 2 months actually doing something like that. And we didn't know if the market actually required it at the first place, right? So keeping it minimal, you need to wake up every single day, maybe have some poster somewhere near you. Have you made it minimal or not? So ensure that you're only having a minimal version now.
Correct. And how you avoid those haunts, right? There's a good concept where you say the feature is coming soon or will come soon. Okay, will be arriving soon. Those kind of things people put on their products and just wait for that time where they can launch it. But being an entrepreneur, being a person who is launching that particular product, you are always concerned that okay, shall I remove this? Shall we implement this and launch it? So how you define your release cycles?
So, when you define something in a roadmap, okay, it's both a pro and a con. Because once it's on a timeline, it creates a pressure on the whole team and ourselves as well that it needs to be released, right? But on the other hand, you need to be sensible on those fronts that you don't commit anything that is going wrong. What are the things that you are very much confident about that these are some things that we want to see in the product? We do have. Like for example, and developer tools have actually polished it out really well. So you see that time frame for how things look for VS Code, for GitHub and other tools like that. The Visual Studio Code, their roadmap is not very much public. They have very specific things over there, but they are working on 100 different things, but they don't show it to anyone. They're working on 100 different things. only when it is released, and they have created a very great mechanism there that when you open the Visual Studio Code, you see that okay, here's the release note, and you see multiple small GIFs over there showcasing which features are there and how to use that, right? So they're taking feedback, and according to that, they are actually changing their cycle again. So don't commit really far away at how things will look like. Just focus on fixing and improvising your core functionality. That is the way to move forward. That's good.
Yeah, I think these are fair points once you're developing an MVP you need to keep in mind. So, yeah, so I think that was a good journey what we had for Sparrow. Now, I think many of us get those requests that you want to be a solopreneur, you want to be combined, you want to do by two people team, three people team, just the founders team, and then working with a complete team to make sure that product happens, right?
Yeah.
So we have done it both ways, right? We have been solopreneurs. We have co-founded a couple of things together. We have done that, and now we are building Sparrow with our complete team and making sure that the vision is aligned for what we have built it. So how do you think our journey has been, and what do you think is the best solution for a product that can have? So what's
So
your
in terms of team, I feel like nothing can be accomplished by a single person. You will require a team. And I recently saw one of the interview from Bill Gates itself. So when they released the first version of Windows, it took off. It took off. Like there were so many people who were using it, and then afterwards, people realized that, and like they wanted to grow the team, so there was 5 to 10 developers, Bill Gates including one of them, right? And Bill Gates was just like us, that reviewing every single pull request, ensuring that nothing goes wrong at any place. So he started that, and then he had Steve Ballmer. So Steve tried to convince Bill that now you will need to ensure that you don't review everyone's code. And it was very hard for Bill to do that.
Correct.
But they scaled only after that. That okay, now Bill is not reviewing every single line that is actually getting written, and it is automatically like there are other people who are doing that. So that was first step. The second step, like Bill was still wanting to know that and vetting every single developer who was on in his team. That who are these people who are working on it. He used to interview them himself every single. The next big leap was when the company became 70 developers and 80 developers. So at that time, Steve again convinced Bill that you don't have to know everyone in the team. Okay, you need to create the right hierarchy and actually move forward that, right? So I think every company goes through the same cycle, and same happened with us as well. Right? We started everything together. We coded the first line ourselves, right? And then we hired some great people, and honestly, they are better than us in doing it, right? They are able to focus more onto it, get into more depth over there, because us probably it's not possible for us to take care of that part. And we started doing it that way, and then creating the right process and orchestrating it is actually very important, so that you can scale with time and get and add more people on board. And small companies are volatile. We know that, right? We cannot be sure that every single person who we started out will be with us for 6 months also, right? So in that case, it's extremely important that we create some kind of process in between, so that if people change and then we replace some people here and there, there's no immediate impact on our timelines of how it moves forward. But yeah, you can't do it alone. If you're creating it, you require people who are ambitious, who have aspirations, and many of our great folks that we are working with together, all of them, when we interviewed, they mentioned one thing that we want our name attached to something. So that is what their vision was, and that is what is keeping it alive. It's not the money part right away, but obviously we want to ensure that everyone gets their own things fulfilled, right? They have their own aspirations, right? So that needs to be taken care of. But yeah, you need to keep on scaling. You need to find new people. You need to and respect everyone's idea and ensure that everyone is doing their part.
No, certainly. I think dividing the roles, dividing the responsibility, that needs to happen amongst the co-founders and the team, because everyone is working towards a vision and goal. And that did a trick for us.
Yeah.
Where I think with that particular code, I still remember when you avoid me to join the technical call, and now we are not reviewing those. So yeah, that gives the other person an edge to fulfill his roles and responsibility more better. And among the team also, once you give those responsibility, a sense of ownership is pretty much important. and the process and ownership what we are able to create here, where everyone is having and everyone is passionate about what they are doing, is that is something what we are happy to see that. Yes. Right. So I think this is good around how we ideate a product, how we think around a product, how to launch a product, what is the best way to do it. We'll discuss on the launching part there, but another very big taboo which comes to everyone's minds is like how do you select tech stack, right? I talk around many people on LinkedIn. I talk to them. Okay, they told me that React is best or Angular is best. They tell me that okay, I am a .NET guy. .NET is the best. Java is the best. I think we took those decisions very efficiently.
I think, see, there is one analogy I tell to everyone related to that. Language is just a medium.
Correct.
So when you talk about even like human language, like Japanese is there, Hindi is there, English is there. So it's just a medium, right?
Correct.
Different people talk in different languages, but like, there are some emotions which are attached to it. Thank you. So it may be a different way how to say thank you in different languages, but it's still thank you, right?
Correct.
So similarly, like when we talk about computer languages, they are just a way and medium to give instructions to computer on how to take
Correct.
care of tasks, right? So even same is true for frameworks as well.
Mhm.
All the frameworks, no frameworks has been created with a mindset like we want to beat every other framework. They identified a problem and they actually created something like that.
Correct.
So I don't think so that people should be very adamant or stuck to a framework. They should identify people around them, their team, identify what they are good at. Even if they are good at Angular, maybe not React, then also that is fine. They can start working that part. And one thing that everyone needs to accept that after the MVP launch, there will be one very big re-architectural change that you will do, and everything will change.
Correct.
Your tech stack might change, your backend might change, your frontend might change, the languages might switch. So that kind of drastic change actually happens every time, and every now and then in every product. Microsoft Teams is an example. They started with an Electron app, and then now they moved toward native as well. So they made the switch internally as well. So that kind of switch keeps on happening in even big organizations for big products as well. So we don't need to worry about it. What we feel is the good solution right now. We should do it.
Got it.
And any good developer know it's scalable or not, right? So it's basically you can create a very good scalable application in an old school technology as well, and you can create a very bad application in a new framework as well.
Correct.
So it's totally about hands and skills of the developers.
So yeah, I think that we have seen throughout our journey that whatever the framework is, right, every framework is built to solve the problem.
Yeah.
It's how best you use it, how best you code it, it's the way. But I would, with this discussion, I would want to at least highlight a point, not just around the tech stack, but how do you think architecture for any of the products should look like, right? I don't see there are front end, there is back end, there is monitoring. But what are the five core areas which needs to be incorporated in a product, right? If I say just an example, landing page is required, right? That's a front page or website, SEO optimized, it should be there, right? So I think that's a very good point around the technology, what we are talking about, that we do not need to be language agnostic.
Yeah.
But what are the key areas do you think needs to be incorporated? Okay, these are the must I need to have a product.
Right. So I think first is the website. Right. So website is not just important to showcase your product, but I think it is a very good place where you can start getting traction even before your MVP is actually launched.
Okay.
So because as soon as you have a product, first of all you require users who can actually use the SaaS product, right? And you cannot get it in a day.
Correct.
So before even we started these products, what we did was we used to talk about it with everyone that this is what is coming, this is what is coming, and we didn't do the website in the first point, which was a mistake because like when we started with our website and we had a sign up form and everything over there, so people who were interested used to apply there, and actually we used to know that how many people are even genuinely interested. And as soon as we have an MVP ready, we used to it was easy for us to get to them and ask them to use our product and give us feedback over there. So website is actually extremely important. Having a good landing page doesn't need to be really complicated, doesn't need to highlight a lot of things. Should just mention what is the problem you are trying to solve and if someone wants to try it out. Right. Second important thing is related to
just a counter question
Yes.
to that.
Yeah.
Website is important, I do understand. And a couple of times what people do is they directly jump into recording or just creating the website. Do you think that is good or Preparing a
Yeah, just a landing page is fine.
okay,
Okay,
got
so
it.
you can create a, and there are multiple tools that you don't have to actually create it from scratch. Use HTML, CSS, spend time over there. HubSpot is a very good tool that helps us in throughout the product launch and actually operations side,
Correct.
right? So you can sign up on HubSpot. You can create a landing page. There are templates already available.
Mhm.
So you go there, it's drag and drop, and you have a website ready. All the leads will get recorded in the HubSpot itself. So you don't have to create your own database and log it over there.
Correct.
So at whatever places where we feel and we know that there needs to be there are tools in the market that are available. We need to be aware of it and we need to start using that. So that is like again the second part that comes in is CRM. Okay, so setting up a CRM is extremely important, right? And as soon as possible, if we do that, that's like cherry on cake because you will be able to have a landing page over there, you will be able to manage your leads over there, and you will be able to even do check some kind of a traction there, check which people have signed up, how much time they are using it. Many of these analytics tools like Mixpanel is there, Google Analytics are there. They can directly integrate with HubSpot kind of tool, so that and when we started Sparrow, one more mistake we did was there was no email communication. So when the person is signing up, they didn't get any welcome email. There were no workflows which are created at that. For example, a person actually visits a particular section in the web in their application. So we could have had like sent emails to them. Hey, you unlocked or you visited this section of it. This is what you can achieve and accomplish over there. So HubSpot can help you in doing creating those email workflows. It can help you in creating newsletters if you want to send out things to anyone. It can help you in like support. So like if you want to have a support side, a knowledge base, and other things. So these can be if you start it from day zero itself while the product is actually getting developed. So you can ensure that these things are ready when you are ready to launch an MVP because seeing all that part gives more confidence to a user. That there's a support mechanism, there's an email response that you're getting. An email response can be directly coming from a founder itself. It doesn't need to be like dedicated support staff that needs to be there. You are seeing analytics as well, like how many people are online, how many people are using it. So there's a core integration between Mixpanel and HubSpot that helps us over there. So yeah, these are I think basic things that we should never miss out. In terms of technical, there are other. It's a different ball game, but production monitoring is extremely important. People create a product, but they don't leave space for monitoring it. Like if people, if sometimes everyone faces that you launch it on product hunt or something and then afterwards there is a lot of traction that you get over there and then before you know it your application crashes. There are 10,000 users who are waiting for using the application maybe for the first time. The retention maybe just 500 people there, but it may get lost. Yeah. So it's very important that you do you have production monitoring and you do your testing as well, performance testing, load testing. There are tools like I think there's a K6 tool and other things as well that helps us in identifying how many users our application can support right now. So you don't face any downtime at that time, and you don't need to be very creative there. Just add email alerts. If anything is going wrong, you get it on email. That's it. That works. So do it the easiest way possible, but it's important.
Sure. So I think just to summarize what we've learned from our experience as a user persona is pretty much important, right? So every tool or technology what you are using or what you are crafting out needs to or tend to how a user is behaving for the tool and customer is got, right? So you want to get the early customers, you want to track their feedbacks, you want to track their journeys, you want to improvise their journeys because nowadays how the SaaS product are built up, we need to build an next-gen product where people do understand what they want and what people would be wanting in the future. You need to predict that and make that happen. So I guess analytics, monitoring, landing page, their management, their support request plays a very important role in how you're launching a product.
And everything can be done for free. You don't have to start paying HubSpot right away. It's a little costly, if you go with the paid tier here. But I think the free tier is more than enough for getting started. And once you get traction, you may get funding as well, and maybe you start getting money itself. So at that time, it makes sense to upgrade to the paid tier, and that amount that HubSpot is charging, it may feel minimal to you at that.
Correct, correct. So I think there's a good point where we discuss around how to ideate around a POC or ideate around the product launch it probably on the technical side of development. What I would cover up in the last section would be majorly the challenges and feedback. Do you think how what challenges we faced in launching Sparrow, working on Sparrow, and how we launched it? So I think we'll keep it short. Let's keep it to two or three challenges what you faced and how. Basically, what we want to discuss with our audience is around how we are able to cope up with a problem. See, every product have a different problem, right? But how to think to solve a problem. I think that is something what would help anyone who is planning to launch any product in 90 days. Yeah, so I think, see, the most important, most critical part that always gets derailed is execution. Correct. Right? So you can get an idea, you can start with design as well. Maybe you get the first design as soon as possible, but when you start developing it, people may lose motivation in between. There are multiple things that happens. So creating a process is very important to ensure that the execution is happening at the right pace and the pace does not change. Right? Makes sense. So and we have changed our process of execution a lot. Like we have changed the tools that we were using. We have changed the mechanism on how we are conducting stand-ups to how we are executing, like how we are having the release cycles and everything every single time, right? And I think now we have found a sweet spot there that that works out. We have a weekly business call where we discuss on where the features is, and we are ensuring that all the developers and everyone is attending it. So it's not a closed call that everyone else is sitting outside. Everyone attends it, so everyone feels connected over there. Making sure that the motivation and the mission statement of the product is live in everyone's heart and brain every time. So if we have that kind of a mission statement that aligns with everyone and everyone is thinking about it every now and then, you that will ensure that nothing goes delayed. Makes sense. And everyone is aligned towards launching it. Right? So yeah, create a mission statement, create that motivation part inside the company and outside so that everyone is aligned. So if things go derailed at any place, they will be able to pick up. It's not you who will be solving the problem always, it's you along with the team who will be solving. So that gives you as well the motivation that you are not alone. That makes sense. So there is nothing right and wrong, right? Exactly. It's totally a democracy where everyone foot aligns. You need to move on. Yeah. And I think pivot is a great word for any set of startups. So you be ready to pivot in every single day. Yes, yes. Right. So where you get traction, you start pivot. Selling there. So, makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's good enough for our first part, right? Where we discussed around how to build a SaaS in 90 days. In the next part, probably we'll focus more on how to self-fund your project or how to think around fundraising and all those things. I think that we can cover up in the next part. Sure. Yeah. Okay. I think nice discussion, nice revamping around our journey for last 4 years, what we had, and many more to come. Okay. So see you in next episode. Thanks everyone. Thank you.